Martial arts uniforms are one of the most fascinating parts about martial arts. Today I'm going to be meeting with instructors and comparing Muay Thai, Taekwondo, Karate, Judo, Kung Fu, Jiu-Jitsu, all of the different uniforms I can possibly get my hands on. Or for Taekwondo feet. Today we're going to talk about different aspects of the uniforms, like its history and its culture, but then also go into why the uniform's the way it is, the practicality and the purpose of it, even the aesthetics of it. Overall in a journey to kind of figure out why people wear what they wear. I am back at 7-Star Kung Fu. And if I remember correctly, Tibetan Hapgar?
Yes, sir.
Uniforms.
Yeah, okay.
What you got for me?
Well, so in traditional Chinese Kung Fu, typically there has not been uniforms until modern times, like probably like everybody else. The old school uniforms, like my Sifu David Chen, online you can find him doing a demonstration back in the 50s in a button-down long sleeve pants, nice dress shoes, and a tie. So this
like the most...
Yeah.
Not casual martial arts.
Right. Yeah. I'm wearing a uniform now. This is my Sifu's old uniform, and really cool. that he passed on to me.
Yeah.
And so this is what he's taken some pictures in this, but this is a demonstration uniform.
Sure.
So we would not typically wear this in our academy.
Right.
We wear a t-shirt and black pants.
Like, is it usually a uniform color? Because now that you say that, it's making me think it's probably not just like a uniform color.
So again, different. Like when we do the traditional lion dance, so now it's the Lunar New Year. Coming out tomorrow, we pressed into the Lunar New Year. So Gong Hei Fa Choi, everybody. We will do lion dance, and when you do the lion dance, there's a uniform for that. And so there's uniform for different presentations, and then each school might have different colors that go along with it.
Was the difference in the actual top itself? Yeah, right. Like you mentioned, it's coming from the idea of, it was a button-up for a lot of people, like it's what they're most comfortable with.
Right.
This type of clothing is what more Chinese people were comfortable with at the time, correct?
Exactly, and that's what they were wearing. Like, so this is Sifu Masik. You can see he's wearing like a polo shirt and just black Kung Fu pants. And here Sifu Kuo, again, he's in a uniform, but he was wearing this all the time at the time that he was alive. This is what he wore. Now we have Sifu Ing. This is Sifu Ing Yiming. This is our Hapgar grand teacher. That's from a movie set, and so this is an army uniform that they would have been part of a group like that. But it's not his traditional Kung Fu uniform. He used to wear a white T-shirt and some pants, or he'd be in a suit or something like that, depending.
The thickness of the gi.
So
is it like a thin gi, thick gi? Because that one seemed a little thin.
So silk, right? So a lot of them are silk because super hot.
Makes
Where
sense.
the people are, they're wearing super light materials. Then there's places not so much. It's colder. So they wear heavier ones. So this frog button is how this is tied up, and then there's a hook and loop one that's different. You guys have the belt to tie up, right? When we wear the sash, right? So they call it a sash, not a belt. Same.
Sure. Right.
But different material. The sash is meant to come around. So yours is down low here.
Right.
The sash is meant to come right here. So it's like a weightlifting belt.
Okay, gotcha.
You tie that
makes
thing,
sense.
you would tie it up tight, so they would wear it tight, like if they were, in battle or whatever. That was meant for that.
Okay.
So you have a support around your waist. Outside of that, it's a color is color.
So can we come a little bit closer? I want everybody to see like kind of the cool intricacies of the uniform.
Yeah.
Oh, you're missing a little loop there.
Really? On camera?
I should have flicked him.
You better keep that. So that's the reality of these buttons.
Thank you so much, sir. I really appreciate it. Is there any websites, anything in particular you want people to come to?
7starkungfuacademy.com if you're in the area and you want to train.
Okay, I am here with Coach Alex Brackett from 36 Chambers Muay Thai. It has been entirely too long for me to have not had you in an instructional.
I'm the brains behind the operation.
Yeah, 100%. Josh is the legs.
He's the legs, yeah.
We are going to talk about a Muay Thai uniform.
Yes.
Most people think of Muay Thai uniform as just like shorts.
It really is just shorts.
It's just shorts.
Yeah.
And very short ones at that.
And very short, yes. Shorts are really interesting in Muay Thai because really part of the goal is you want to be able to have them up enough to grant mobility. And part of it too, you'll see a cut. Like this is from Muay Thai Addict, but this little notch here, right? This makes it easier so that when we're doing things like blocking or we're throwing head kicks, we've got that mobility. If it's really tight, especially with Thai boxers, we got big thighs.
Yeah, right.
It makes it a little bit harder.
That's like a common thing amongst I think all kickers could.
Pull-
But
you
it
pull
was
up.
it was here.
Thai boxers, like they'll be fighting,
Yeah.
and in between they'll be hiking their shorts up.
They'll just
And-
hike 'em up.
And I think it's just a little.
I think it's a bit of a tactic
it's a
at
bit
this
of a
point, right?
Yeah, it's just a kind of a delay tactic, but yeah, you gotta pull your shorts up high and.
And these are like super elastic, but
Yes.
there's like multiple layers, right?
Yes.
It's not even just like a
No.
single elastic old school karate band.
No.
There's so many different layers to kind of like stick to you.
Yes.
Because it is designed like you're just gonna be kicking all the time.
the
You
time.
want it to just be able to go pop,
Yep.
pop, pop. One part of Muay Thai that is like super culturally really cool is the rest of the uniform,
Yep.
right?
This is not so much, I guess, cultural, traditional. Like this is just
Oh,
kind
okay.
of more for warmth, right? You just warmed up. and
Gotcha.
sometimes you're
Oh, that
standing
makes
around
sense.
waiting to fight, and it's like 30 minutes, and now
Right.
you're not hot anymore.
Which is like something that Thai fighters do all the time.
All
They're
the
just
time.
always fighting.
Yes, they're always fighting. They're fighting like every 2 weeks in Thailand.
So
you
it
know.
makes sense why you would start to make things more
Yes.
efficient in your getting ready
Yes.
process.
But then the other two pieces of fight gear. So Thais are, Thailand is a Buddhist country.
Yep.
And the Buddhists can be extraordinarily superstitious, which is great. So everything has to be kind of blessed. This is probably the most important and significant cultural piece, which is called a mankal. And a mankal goes on the fighter's head. You can see on the mankal, it basically just sits like as a headband.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, I can't tell you why the design is the way that the design is.
Yeah.
But the intention and purpose of this is to protect you from evil spirits coming down from overhead. Basically, one of the rituals that we do is we'll place the mankal on the fighter's head before they enter the ring, so it protects them from evil spirits.
Sure.
The fighter will then go in and perform a Y crew, or respect to teacher,
Yep.
seal the ring, and basically get rid of the bad spirits. That's basically the intention there.
Yeah.
Before the fighter actually starts the fight, the coach will take the mankal. They'll actually say a prayer to the fighter to bless the fighter, protect the fighter.
Yeah.
And then the coach will blow their spirit into the fighter's forehead, meaning like I'm passing on.
yeah, yeah.
I'm passing on my strength, my blessing, my knowledge to you. These are chrysanthemums. They're supposed to be chrysanthemums, and chrysanthemums are considered lucky. So again, Thai boxers have so many rituals before they step into a ring.
Yeah.
They'll wear 2 or 3 rows of chrysanthemums just to kind of bless and keep them safe.
Yeah.
But everything about the uniform in Thai boxing going into a fight
Yeah.
is about keeping evil spirits away,
Yeah.
keeping the bad juju off, and
Right.
really blessing and protecting the fighter.
And then just
And then annihilation!
and then just destroy them.
Now, I could do the karate one and it'd be pretty easy, or I could have somebody who's literally made their own karate uniforms do one. I think that would make much more sense. Here's Jesse Enkamp, the karate nerd.
Everybody knows what a karate gi looks like, and I'm wearing one right now. But originally, it looked very different. Just have a look at this photo of the Okinawan karate master Motobu Choki, who's practicing with his Japanese student Konishi Yasuhiro. And notice how their karate uniforms look vastly different. And the reason is simple. The original karate uniform from Okinawa, the birthplace of karate, was based on a Ming Dynasty type of Chinese training uniform, as compared to the modern mainland Japanese karate gi, which was based on the Judo uniform. You see, when Okinawan karate was modernized in mainland Japan, they had to conform to several criteria to be included in the Dai Nippon Butokukai, which is the Japanese martial arts society. And one of them was adopting the Japanese-style uniform as opposed to the Chinese-style uniform. So the father of Judo, Kano Jigoro, actually suggested to Funakoshi Gichin, the father of modern karate, that they change up the Judo uniform and make it a little bit lighter and increase the sleeves so it's more suitable for karate rather than for gripping and throwing. And that's how the modern karate uniform was born. And since then, the karate gi has evolved a lot, but unfortunately, sometimes in the wrong direction. Because today, a lot of people think that you should have 2 uniforms, one for kata or forms, and another one for kumite or sparring. So one is super heavy and feels like a sauna, and the other one is super light and feels like a pajama. But I don't believe karate should be divided into this sports format, because that's just a tiny part of the whole art. Your karate uniform should be useful for both kata and kumite and kihon, the basics, and bunkai, kata applications, and weapons, and everything that the average karate practitioner needs. Therefore, I developed the Seishin karate uniform. Now, I don't want to make this into a commercial, but if you're a subscriber of Sensei Seth and you visit seishin-international.com enter the offer code SIDEKICK and you'll get 15% off your very own Seishin Karate Gi. Back to the history lesson. Another criteria for modernizing Okinawan karate in mainland Japan was the karate belt. If you look again at the Okinawan karate master, Motobuchoki, he's actually wearing a Chinese-style sash, which is similar to what you would see in Kung Fu, while his Japanese student is wearing what looks like a regular modern-day karate belt, or as we say in Japanese, obi. Karate didn't have a belt system originally because it was also adapted from Judo in the modernization process. And today there are many different belt colors in different styles and systems, but they're all divided into the Kyu and Dan portion. Kyu meaning the colored belts and Dan meaning the black belts, or at the higher levels even red, just like in Judo. Oh, and you might have seen some styles wearing a black karate uniform, especially Kempo practitioners, even in Okinawa. And the reason is often because they also practice with weapons. And the Okinawan climate is very humid, so when you use weapons like sai or kama, they tend to get rusty, and you don't want that dirt and rust all over your white karate gi. Plus, it does look pretty badass, don't you think? And that's why the Seishin Gi also comes in black, in case you want one. And don't forget your special offer. Now back to Sensei Seth.
I am here with Master David Wright from Master Chung's Martial Arts. I want to know about the Taekwondo Doba. First and foremost thing that I noticed is the top. I feel like that's like the very typical like difference between karate and Taekwondo is the top.
Yes, I think Taekwondo is unique that it comes down to this V-neck and doesn't open. What my limited scope of this area is that it kind of resembles the traditional Korean wear, the hanbok, and so they wanted to kind of stay true to the Korean roots. So it's kind of a loose-fitting top with the exact similar design as the traditional Korean clothing.
Thickness level, like how thick are we talking?
Fairly thin, and especially if you get like a competition uniform, it's going to be even thinner, almost like a tissue paper. It's very, very lightweight.
So I know for karate, like these are supposed to be like snappy. Do you guys worry about snap very much, or is it more so of like the form of the techniques?
A little bit of both. So we do practice with the uniform sound. It's just a little bit harder to get when you have this lighter weight uniform.
Right.
So we just have to throw it a little harder. Karate guys.
That makes sense. Make you guys work a little bit more for it. That's fair. That's fair. Thinner material, I feel like it makes it easier for it to just like as you're kicking, it kind of like goes with you a bit.
Yeah, it doesn't catch on into your knees as much, like you said. They're designed so that you have a lot of freedom of range of motion with that.
Right.
And at the same time, it goes all the way down to cover the ankles.
You guys are some of the more mobile martial arts. Like you guys move way more than the average at faster speeds. So it makes sense that your gi and your uniform has to be lightweight. It has to look cool too, color-wise. Is there like a traditional color? Is there a color that you see most often? Or is it just like all over the place?
So for the most part, I would say traditional Taekwondo is going to be on the white uniform.
Okay.
And then like with our school, all of our students start off with the white uniform, and then we have different programs that you can get into. We have different uniform colors with that.
Okay, gotcha. So it just kind of like, it depends. Oh, when you are in the Olympics, is it one color versus the other color?
So it's usually white uniforms, and you tell the players by the abbreviation for the country that they're representing on the back.
Okay.
But lately they've been doing changing up the pants so that there's a white top, but then the pants are kind of distinct to each of the players that are competing, so they can put like the national colors on the lower half.
Oh, that's really cool. Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah. But then you have a whole nother section that just focuses on the demonstration side.
Pure athletic ability and
flying, flipping, spinning.
Right. Do the uniforms differ then from the more like, traditional inside of the school to the demonstration? Like, do you guys wear different uniforms for different occasions?
For competition, some schools might have a certain uniform for that, or to distinguish a team versus another.
Sure.
But I would say for demonstration, that's not too much.
Yeah.
But for competition, definitely. Competition, you're definitely going to have that much lighter weight material.
Make sure you go follow all of the links here that I leave for Master David Wright and Master Chung's Martial Arts. On to the next one. As for Judo, I had to call upon my favorite judoka, Shintaro Higashi.
Alright, Sensei, today I'm going to talk a little bit about the Judo Gi and the history of it. I don't know too much about it, so I'm kind of winging it. I'm giving you like little bits and pieces of information that I know. So this is a gi top and gi pants. This is kind of a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu cut gi. It's like a Jiu-Jitsu gi. Oh, thank you, Yumi. Right? And Toshi the Tiger also has a gi. See that? He has a gi top. So the primary reason why the Judo gi was invented was as a learning tool. Right? You could grab the wrist, go for underhooks, pull the person's head down, all those kinds of things like Western wrestling. But the gi is kind of unique because if you hold onto the wrist, right, it's very easy for the hand to come out. But if you grab onto someone's gi, it doesn't go away, right? And then there's lots of different options. When you grab someone's gi's collar to control the person's upper body, you grab here, you grab here, you grab here. There's a lot more handles, right? So you grab same side, cross collar, sleeve, double sleeve, Georgian grip, over the back, around the waist.
I know some of these words.
Classically, the Judo gi and the BJJ gi are very, very similar. Like I said, this is a BJJ gi, but almost like interchangeable. If you look at the pants, right, it's got sort of this double layer over here, and then the different types of seams for sort of this ripstop quality, where back in the day when you were allowed to grab legs in the Judo, right, so the pants don't rip right away, they're reinforced in a way that the pants don't rip. I think when you have advantageous position in Judo, right, when you hold the person down, right, you could keep that position because you have a nice strong hold of the person. So it tends to slow the game down a little bit more. Okay, not to say that it's not dynamic, it's not athletic, right? But the feel of the grappling changes. Judo, when you have this type of a gi, you could control the person a little bit more at a distance because you have nice handles on the person. So those are some interesting information. Lots of history behind the Judo gi. Yeah, that about kind of covers the basics of it. Thank you very much. Hi, Yumi. Huh? Wow! Give me.
I am with Sensei Ando, and I figured in a video comparing martial arts uniforms, you have worn so many that I thought it would be super important to bring you on. In this video so far, we have talked about like kind of the history and like the make and how the gis feel. I've got you for jiu-jitsu here, so kind of give me a rundown on a jiu-jitsu gi. You can compare it to others if you want. I'll let you just go ahead.
Sure. Well, we're saying Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu gi, not Japanese Jiu-Jitsu gi, right?
Right.
Clearly, the forerunner of the BJJ gi was the Judo gi.
Right.
So Jigoro Kano is the father of all of that, so he laid down the original belt system, the original template for the Judo gi.
Yeah.
BJJ, Judo are grappling arts, so you need something to grab. So that's what these are designed for, is to turn a human being into a suitcase covered in handles, so you can grab any part of my body and pick me up and throw me around. I like to think of the Judo gi as kind of buying off the rack. It doesn't quite fit you right, but the BJJ gi is more of like slim fit. It's tailored to
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah.
a little bit more. In Judo, you'll find like drooping wrist collars, the cuffs rather, on the feet and on the hands, and you'll see that the apron or the skirt usually hangs down below the butt.
Yeah.
There's rules for that kind of stuff.
I was going to say, this is a much, I've always noticed that the jiu-jitsu gis are much shorter.
Yeah, we look great.
Yeah.
Yeah, typically because it's the best of both worlds. You want lots of material,
Right.
so you have lots of stuff to grab.
Yeah.
But once you're on the ground, it kind of slows you down if you have all this material constantly in your face and bunching up, and it can slow the game down.
Right.
Slow me down.
Yeah,
and
don't
get
make
in
it
my way.
easy on me.
Yeah, right. It's in the middle. And of course, if you have no gi, then
I was going to say, which kind of like transitions into no gi, where it is, well, no gi. Still a
Right.
martial arts uniform though.
and still grabbing.
Right.
But it offers you less to grab, and
Much
once you
less.
grab something, it's harder to hold on to. When you start off in BJJ, this is like a house of horrors because
Yeah.
you didn't really think about
All
how
the
you're.
different ways.
Yeah, it's horrifying.
One aspect of the uniforms that I found super interesting as I've done this whole thing has been the belt line, or the waistline specifically of the pants. Other
Well,
Japanese things.
For me, I know there's some guys who wear kind of like that mom's jean
Yeah,
dealio,
yeah.
where they have the extra fabric up, kind of like old Jean-Claude Van Damme had the big
Yep.
extra material up here.
Yeah.
I've owned a lot of these things, and they're
Right.
almost always low rise, I would say.
Yeah, yeah.
Kind of hugging the hip and simple drawstring across the waist. So,
Right.
do I have to take off my shirt to answer
No,
this
no,
question?
I believe you, I believe you.
But on the other hand, usually when you're on your back, the pants just grab, they start falling. So then you can be super flexible and play all kinds of very flexible games. But
Right.
generally, when you're standing up, I would rather not wear these if I'm thinking about kicking all day.
Well, that makes sense because when you're standing up, like the gravity pulls your pants down. But when you're on your back, the gravity puts them in a better position so you don't have to worry about it all the time.
Yeah, that's fair. Colors.
One of the most fascinating parts about uniforms, in my opinion. Anything you can think of, a BJJ rash guard or gi comes in.
Yeah, well, human nature, people want to have what they want. But traditionally, you start off all white.
Yep.
Then, just like within Judo, they started adding in blue so you can at least tell the people apart.
Yeah, during
And
competition.
still, I believe, under international BJJ Federation rules, you can only use white, black, or blue. I'm pretty sure that's still the rule. But outside of the sporting umbrella, yeah, you can see pretty much any kind of gi nowadays.
Yeah.
All kinds of different weaves, all kinds of different weights, all kinds of different colors and patterns. It's a wild world out there.
So I've got a comparison I like to make on my channel, and I want to hear what you think about this right now. Okay. I compare BJJ right now to karate in the 80s.
Oh yeah, I see what you mean.
And
I get that.
Yeah, you get that? And so I think that we're going through like a karatification of BJJ right now. Sure. I think the uniforms are actually a very similar point because as it came to America, karate, and then everybody was like, oh, American gi, like I'm gonna wear the stars and stripes on my pants and I'm gonna wear a flag up top. But I just thought that was interesting. That
Of course, there's good and bad in everything.
Yeah,
It's depending how you execute these ideas.
Yeah.
Although one thing you'll notice about the BJJ, again, different than Judo,
Yeah.
is usually the BJJ people wear lots of patches and prints and logos and bumper stickers and bells and whistles are all over the place.
Huh.
They got like a Christmas tree running around sometimes.
That's interesting that you say that.
Is it?
I mean, karate's pretty patchy.
Pretty patchy.
Pretty patchy. Because if it's something that you enjoy so much, like there's no harm in adding your spice to it, like your character to it. It's just like if you're training and you like to do something a certain way, technique-wise, like that feels good for you, you think it works, like do it, why not? Make sure you go check out Sensei Ando's channel. Thank you for dropping all this awesome information.
Pleasure, sir. Thank you.
So why did I make this video? One, because it's like fun and I like to learn things, and if I like to learn things, maybe you do too, I don't know. But it was really cool to see like the different reasons behind the way different things were. I feel like the overall vibe of each of these uniforms is that they were designed with their culture in mind. You know, they kind of resemble pretty closely the attire that they had back in the day. Then it seems like over time the uniform kind of adapts and changes itself based off of what the martial art or sport needs to have applied to it. So for flashier, faster moving people, it's not necessarily super important to have a super thick gi. For people who are dressed in colder weather, it's important that they have a thick gi. Like, how crazy is that? That's such an obvious answer. Why didn't I think of that? And then obviously, like, gis need to be thicker if you're constantly getting grips and tossing people by their clothing. However, to adapt to different types of fighting styles, even within jiu-jitsu, for example, you have to have variations, different things. So instead of going just gi, learning how to go rash guard and fighting with very minimal grips. And it was also really cool to see how the uniform was affected by the actual old school practitioners, like the Kung Fu and having the guy who just like trained in what he had. It's really cool to see a martial arts style not necessarily like glorify itself to some huge extent, like you have to be like geared up. No, like you just train. And then having something like the blessings, which is so deeply rooted in the culture and even religion of a country's martial art is incredibly cool. After learning all this, I think the only next step, which would be like a best comparison, would have to be the martial arts belts.